Hi Aquarius, and welcome to your June 2019 Astrology 33 reading. We have a Celtic cross spread in front of us, which is normally a 10-card spread, but you got some extra cards that came up. And then we also have 2 Oracle cards to look at and a Mudra card at the end to help tie everything together. And also, before I forget, for those of you who want to book a personal reading with me, follow me on Instagram or donate to the channel. Just check out the description of the video for more info on that. And also, sometime after all of the general videos are posted for this month, keep an eye out on the channel because I'll actually be posting an extra video for all the signs this month as well. Alright, so let's get started with the main spread here. In the position of the main situation, we have the Devil card. So this is a major arcana card that represents Capricorn energy. So that's actually your 12th house. So this could just be, maybe maybe you're trying to break a karmic cycle that you feel like you've been in for a long time that maybe it's been hard for you to shake. So, for some of you, it can be addictions, for example, of some kind. And that could be anything, it could be as simple as maybe smoking cigarettes, right? It could be something, just maybe a compulsion of some kind that you have, it could be almost anything. It could be sex addiction, could be just OCD, you name it. And basically, with all the stuff going on in your 12th house right now, which there is a lot, you've had Pluto there for a long time, and now you actually have Saturn basically moving in retrograde with the South Node. And to me, that actually points to a good time to get rid of some things like that, because the South Node is about letting things go to begin with. And then to me, when the karmic planets like Saturn go in retrograde, that's actually a time when karmically things can be corrected. So, if this is something that's been detrimental to you, it could even be some form of self-sabotage, since it is the 12th house we're talking about. Maybe you're finally breaking free of that this month. That could be what's going on there. And then on another way this could play out, this could just say you really have like an obsessive type energy right now in a certain area of your life. Usually that would be related to career, since, it is a Capricorn card, and Capricorn rules the 10th house of career and social status. So this could just be saying that you've been obsessively working away at something as well. And actually, another thing that could point to that coming to an end, like I was saying as well, is we just had a full moon in Scorpio, which is your 10th house. So that could even point to, wrapping something up in that area as well. All right, in the Challenger obstacle position, we have the Page of Wands. So, given that this is a wand energy, it could very well be, like I said, maybe some of you are trying to give up smoking. Like maybe that's the addiction that you have. And, if you're having some difficulty with that, it looks like you might be able to shake that, because with the card in this position, he's basically looking right at the King of Wands, so that could show some progression in that regard. But, it doesn't have to be smoking. That was, for some reason, that came out to me, so maybe some of you, you're feeling that right now. But another way that this could play out as well is, like I said, maybe it's a career situation for a lot of you. And if that's the case, then the devil could be saying, maybe it's a career that you've had a difficulty getting away from. You felt like you were just bound to them for whatever reason. Maybe you felt like you owed the company something, right? Or maybe it was someone, you've grown, the longer you're with a company, you can grow relationships with those people. So maybe you felt indebted to them for some reason, and maybe, you're finally starting to realize that, well, this job is cool, it's comfortable for me and all, but, maybe you realize that this is the furthest you can get, right? Is like that page level. Like, okay, that's cool and all, but I'd rather get to that king level, right? So maybe you're just realizing the limitations of a job that you're in, realizing, okay, well, I've gone about as far as I can go with this job. It might be time for me to branch out and, try to get to that next level. Or, like I said, again, for those of you who could just be working really hard at something, maybe what you've been working towards is a promotion. And if that's the case, there's some signs that I see in the spread that could point to you actually getting it this month. So that's pretty cool. In the foundation position, we have the Three of Cups. So the Three of Cups to me is usually a celebratory type energy. And what's interesting to me is this is a card that represents Cancer, the middle 10 degrees of Cancer. And pretty much right when June starts, um, Mars is going to be in those degrees, between 10 to 20 degrees of Cancer. So, what that could be pointing to there is just saying that representing your sixth house, that could just be saying that, yeah, maybe you're celebrating some kind of victory when it comes to your work life. Sixth house also represents daily routine, but yeah, the North Node is actually there as well in Cancer, so you could definitely have been making some progress and changes in that area of life. But yeah, to me, with this being in the foundation, this represents some kind of celebration around that area of life. It doesn't necessarily have to just be that, though. If we take the astrology out of it, this could just be you reconnecting with people you haven't seen in a while. So, again, let's say you have been working really hard, right? Usually, if you're focusing on an area of life like that, maybe your friendships might have fallen by the wayside a little bit. Now, maybe, with the sun coming into Gemini, which is your fifth house, maybe you're actually able to reconnect, have a little bit of fun, blow off some steam, hang out with some friends, maybe even family members that you hadn't seen in a while. In the past position, we have the Ace of Swords. So usually to me this represents an insight that might come to you. It's not necessarily communicated to me when it's the Ace. To me that would be more of the Page of Swords energy where it's actually communicated. So this could have just been an idea that came to you, and or maybe you've been debating whether or not to communicate something or not. Um, if that's the case, you had a lot of energy going through your third house too, so maybe it actually did come out for a lot of you, whatever you needed to say. As because Aries is your third house, and we had some transits pass through there last month. So maybe that's what it was about for a lot of you. But yeah, either way, I see this as some kind of an insight that came to you, and with it in the upright, it was definitely, something that would set you on the right path, whatever it was. All right, and now in the present position, we have the King of Wands. So this is actually technically a card of Leo, so some of you could be dealing with the Leo. Leo also represents your house of relationships, your seventh house. So this could just be saying that maybe now you're shifting your focus towards relationships. And Leo is the natural ruler of the fifth house. And like we just said, right now in your fifth house, we have Gemini activity going. Well, I'm recording this right before the sun gets into Gemini, technically. But, if you're watching this in June, the sun will be in Gemini, which is your fifth house. So could just be lighting up that area of life for you if it's not an actual person you're dealing with. And like I said, for those of you, if this resonates as a career type reading, this could just show that progress that you've made, maybe some kind of promotion. And, if we look at the Ace of Swords, it looks like that sword is piercing the crown. It almost looks like what he has on, right? So that could be saying that maybe in the past you realized what you needed to do in order to get to this level, and now this month you're finally getting there. So maybe that's what that devil energy was about. Maybe you had an insight like, okay, right now I'm a page, but I know exactly what I need to do to get to this king level. Let me get to it, So that could be how that's playing out for some of you. Either way, it's definitely a pretty good energy to have in that position. And, like I said, it could just be as simple as all those Gemini energies that you'll be experiencing in June in your fifth house could have you feeling that way. All right, in the near future position, we have the Four of Wands. So this is actually a Aries card, but, represents the last 10 degrees of Aries. So there's nothing really going on there, astrologically speaking, right now. But as you can see, this also represents victory and expansion. So, given that Aries is your third house, that could just be saying that maybe, as far as the communication, maybe if there was some communication you had to do, maybe it's actually led to expansion for you and luck in some way. And this could just represent building something stable as well, taking action toward that. So especially if you made some kind of progress with your career, let's say, or maybe even in a relationship dynamic if you spoke up about something that you didn't like. Looks like there's some pretty positive progress there. I'm not really getting a huge relationship vibe, though. I do have to say that, even with that representing your seventh house, and like I said, the sun being in your fifth house, that could point to relationships. I really feel this is more about you and primarily probably career. But yeah, maybe for some of you it is a relationship thing. All right, in the position of your influence on the situation, we have the Nine of Pentacles. So to me, this is a card that points to independence and, more importantly, possibly financial independence. So, maybe I think we had talked about this in one of your recent readings. Maybe some of you actually decided to go into business for yourselves. And maybe even if you kept that, primary job, maybe you realized, well, in order for me to make that next jump, I need to have something on the side. So maybe you've been doing something off on the side as well. But yeah, either way, this is definitely a card that represents independence and being able to enjoy some financial success as well. So overall, pretty good thing there. And this is another thing that makes me a little hesitant to say that this could be a relationship thing, because this often represents that single, independent woman energy. Whether you're male or female, just saying that that's what the card represents. But so, and maybe that could be one of those things too, where, how they say love usually finds you when you're not looking for it. So maybe if it is a relationship dynamic that you'd been seeking, maybe by doing your own thing and not even, focusing on that, that could actually be what ends up ultimately bringing it to you, right? Since we do see the yellow energies in both these cards. So if it seems like a relationship type thing, maybe that's what's going on for you there. All right, in the position of the environment, we have the Nine of Wands and the World. So the World represents a successful completion. And, I actually, personally, I view this as a North Node card as well. And the North Node, like we said, is in your sixth house. So again, this could be pointing to some kind of a successful completion in your work life. So like I said, maybe some of you really have been working hard, and maybe now you get a promotion, and maybe that's what that celebration is about. But if that's the case, it looks like this could possibly represent your energy, saying that, you might almost have that energy of, okay, it's too good to be true, or maybe it's just saying that, yeah, you got to that point, but you just feel like it took so much out of you, you know what I mean? Because when I look at this person's energy, it's like they have that bandage on their head. It looks like, they look a little wary, like, okay, when's the next challenge or obstacle going to come up, right? They almost seem like they're, just waiting for the other shoe to drop. So it could be saying that even if you're feeling celebrated, you might be feeling like, okay, yeah, this feels good right now, but it's only a matter of time before I have to deal with something else, right? Or if this is someone else in the dynamic, it could just be saying that, maybe they're a little, I wouldn't necessarily say envious, but maybe it's someone that you were competing with, and maybe they're realizing, okay, well, you ended up getting the job, and maybe, they're just a little disappointed that it wasn't them. I don't necessarily get a malicious vibe from that card either way, but And then for even less of you, this could just be saying that maybe you've been moving towards committed relationship towards someone, and maybe they're just a little bit wary of it. Maybe they're like, yeah, maybe they've been a little hesitant to commit, and maybe, you're almost forcing their hand by saying, well, I'm just going to do my own thing, and maybe now they're like, great, I have to do something here, right? So maybe it ends up putting them in that position where they feel like, all right, well, I have to do something to get this going. And then actually, before I forget too, we have the Queen of Cups at the bottom of the deck for you. So this is yet another card that points to that sixth house for you. And, what stands out to me with that is the way that cup is closed off. So this could just be pointing to something that you've been nurturing as far as in that area of life, your work life, day-to-day routine. So maybe it's something that you're not quite ready to unveil yet, or at least you haven't been, but it does look like something's coming out this month. So maybe this is what, maybe this is just saying that this is something you've been working on behind the scenes. You've kept it under wraps. And now maybe this month, with that King of Wands, the the Three of Cups, the Four of Wands. Now you finally actually let it out this month, what you've been working on, and now you get to enjoy some of the success from that. All right, in the hopes or fears position, we have the Justice card. So naturally, I'm going to assume that this is a hope for you guys, and this is probably just saying that you're hoping that the work you did put in will pay off, right? And you're hoping that everything is fair. So meaning, again, especially if that's your energy there, right? Feeling like, okay, yes, I'm being celebrated, but how long is this going to last before the next issue comes up, right? You could just be saying that you're hoping for the work you put in to equal what you get out of it, right? Either way, with this in hopes or fears, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that it would play out for you, but it seems to be what's on your mind. And, for you, Libra is your 9th house, too. So this could just be saying that this could even be related to college for some of you, since, it's 9th house. We were talking about the World card, the graduation, right? Maybe you're hoping to wrap something up in the academic area. But yeah. For the vast majority of you, like I said, I just feel like this is you just hoping that the work you put in ends up paying off. And in the outcome position, we have the Knight of Pentacles and the Eight of Pentacles. So, I don't remember if I mentioned this, but this card here is actually a Virgo card. And then that's the middle 10 degrees of Virgo. This is the first 10 degrees of Virgo. And then this is actually a court card that represents Virgo. So, some of you could be dealing with the Virgo. Like I said, with all of the 6th house energy stuff going on, especially towards the end of the month, the sun will move into your 6th house. So that could just be saying that this will be you taking on that energy as we get towards the end of the month, that Virgoan type energy. But another way that I'm seeing this playing out is, I look at the 8 of Pentacles as, I think I mentioned this to you guys before, if it came up for you in a previous reading. I think it might have been last month or the month before. I said, to me, when I look at the 8 of Pentacles, I see this as someone quite literally making their own money, right? Like he's actually, looks like he's making his own pentacle right there. So this could just be saying, as far as, this is you. Like I said, for those of you who have started your own business, even if you kept your primary job, but you were just doing this on the side, maybe this just represents someone offering to partner up with you, right? And maybe that's where that 9th pentacle comes in. So, maybe this is someone offering to partner up with you, or maybe even it just represents business starting to come in, as far as customers, whatever you put out there. Now you're actually starting to see people come in to purchase it. So, if you started like an Etsy shop or something, or you started offering some, healing services or tarot, whatever the case may be now, this could just be saying with the Knight of Pentacles, this is the slowest moving of the nights, but it's still a night energy, which means movement and progress. So this could just be saying that, okay, the work you put in, and like we already talked about it there, with feeling like you've been working really hard at something, it looks like you should see some recognition coming in for you this month, which is pretty cool. All right. So next we'll move on to your oracle cards. The first one you guys got was building blocks. There's the artwork for it, and the number is 28. This card used to come up a lot, and then it just disappeared for a while, but I don't remember exactly what the messages are. All right, it says, strong foundations, a beautiful work in progress. The Oracle's message, you have everything you need to cultivate an extraordinary life. This is a time when your focus needs to be on the foundations you build upon. Your work, your relationships, and your very being are underwritten by your values, ethics, morals, and core beliefs. Are they still true for you? Will they stand the test of time and serve as the solid grounding upon which you construct your life? Now you are making changes that will affect everything in a positive way. Your destiny is truly a remarkable and beautiful design. So that's a pretty good message there. And what I will say is that Uranus transit, Uranus is in your 4th house and it's going to be there for a while. So, maybe that's having you reevaluate, your values, ethics, morals, and core beliefs, because fourth house could represent, things that we pick up on in our early upbringing, right, from our family roots and whatnot. So even maybe that's what that devil energy represents, right? Maybe maybe some beliefs that you've had from early on, and maybe some of the ones that have been more negative, maybe you're finally breaking free of those, right? And now you're starting to see the progress from that. Okay, the relationship message, like I said, I wasn't getting a huge relationship vibe here, but we'll see if this adds some insight for those of you looking for that dynamic. It says, when you see this card, know that you are attracting new relationships into your life and solidifying the ones you already have by building them on the foundations of honesty, humility, clear communication, and a genuine desire to know one another. You are moving toward laying the groundwork for a relationship with a firm footing that will ensure it can withstand any storm. Long-standing relationships are also repaired and strengthened. You and the other person are stronger, wiser, and more powerful together than apart. So that's a pretty good message there. Long-standing relationships are repaired and strengthened. Maybe that's what that Nine of Wands energy represents, right? Like I said, with that World card underneath it as well. It could just be, maybe you've had a lot of tests in the connection, but maybe with that Four of Wands in the near future, it's saying that there's progress there as well. Definitely seems like there's some positive progress regardless of the area of life. Like I said, I didn't pick up on relationship as much, but hopefully you guys got something from that. All right, the prosperity message says you have everything you need to turn iron into gold in the alchemical process of creating the prosperous life you desire. Now is the time to build on the strong foundation you have already laid for your prosperity. Keep in mind that these building blocks are imbued with the sparkling energy of your intentions. Own your dream and remember that you always have more than enough and you always are enough, so abundance is ever present. Your creativity is divinely inspired, and the design for your life is taking shape in service to the world. You are meant for success. So what sticks out to me with that is, talking about turning iron into gold. We do see a lot of pentacle energy here. We see that Nine of Pentacles, like I said, the Knight and the Eight of Pentacles. And, not much really going on as far as actual sword energy, which is your element. We have the Ace of Swords in the past and the Justice card and Hopes or Fears, but a lot of Wands and a lot of Pentacles. So to me, that represents action and then building stability. So something there. All right, hopefully you guys got something from that. And then the next card that we have from the Spirit Animal Oracle deck is the Turtle Spirit. And it says, slow and steady wins the race. There's the artwork for it, and the number is 62. All right, it says, Turtle Spirit arrives to remind you that when you do what you need to do, putting one foot in front of the other and trusting that you will see your intentions manifest in perfect timing, your prosperity and love will grow exponentially. Now is not the time to rush around trying to force matters. Move slowly, perhaps even so slowly that it almost feels as if you are not moving at all. This may be a time to crawl before walking, taking your time to align to Turtle Spirit's place as you contemplate this road you are on, doing what you need to do in this small moment that will soon pass. Turtle Spirit reminds you that sometimes the best action is to slow right down, so it feels as if you are not doing enough. Know that simply being aware of what is happening right now may be an important step towards determining whether you need to pivot or simply keep putting one foot in front of the other. True love and true success comes with patience, says Turtle Spirit. Focus on the now, and the next step will be clear. So that was an interesting message there. I don't think I ever got the Turtle Spirit one before, but what's interesting to me as far as the slow down part, like I said, this Nine of Pentacles energy to me is about taking some time to enjoy that prosperity you have. That Knight of Pentacles is also a card, like I said, it's the slowest moving knight, so we do see some energy of saying to slow down there. And maybe especially if that devil energy means that you've really just been plugging away at something, maybe it's just saying in that regard. And we have the Three of Cups in the foundation too, and the King of Wands maybe saying, all right, give yourself a little break, try to enjoy yourself a little bit, and let things come to you for a bit. And it looks like things will come to you too, which is a good thing. All right, and then the last thing we have is a Mudra card. So for those of you who haven't been watching my videos this year, what I do is I actually pull a Mudra card for each of the signs. And what mudras are is they're basically hand gestures that you do while meditating, and they're meant to help clear blockages. So, it can be on like a mental, emotional level, possibly even a physical level sometimes, depending on the mudra you get. And this is the mudra you guys got this month, and it's the Gada mudra. And actually, well, to go along with that building blocks thing, the keyword for this one is actually stability, interestingly enough. So yeah, this is the mudra itself, and then we'll flip the card over so you guys can see the messages regarding it. Alright, I'll hold this up for a bit so you guys can take a screenshot of it or pause it if you want to read what it has to say. Alright, and since we can't fit everything in that shot, I'm just going to move it up for you guys so you can see the rest. Alright, and as far as benefits, it says improves elimination and tones the organs of the pelvis, treats hemorrhoids and prolapsed organs, strengthens the Muladhara chakra, opens the flow of rising energy up the back of the body, evokes feelings of stability, groundedness, and safety. So, well, like I said, it can actually represent physical things sometimes too, but if you feel like this sounds like something that would benefit you, I'll actually put the name of that mudra in the actual description of the video as well if you wanted to look into that a little bit more. But we'll wrap up there, guys, and I'll see you next month. All right, bye.